Hey guys, what is up? Dirkiest Dig here. So recently, I just got done playing Nioh 1, and a couple weeks ago, I would say, and then DLC and all, and then I recently started playing Nioh 2, and I had a ton of fun with it. And today we're going to be doing something a little bit different with a boss ranking. I've been wanting to kind of do a boss ranking for other games previously. I didn't really. That obviously didn't really happen, given that this is the first boss ranking on the channel. But yeah, I mean, I've been really wanting to do one for a while, and this is finally the game that I think I'm going to do it. I have footage for all the bosses. I didn't really decide to do this until I would say probably like halfway through the game. So some bosses I didn't quite have the footage for. Some bosses I got the footage because it was like a photo finish or whatever. So I got that footage, but a couple of the bosses from like the beginning I didn't get, so that's going to be in New Game Plus, which is what you're seeing in the background right now, is the footage that's kind of going on back there. So some of the bosses are going to be in New Game Plus. I'll let you guys know if there's anything different about them other than like my first time playing against them, because there's a couple other like different things like that are a little bit different than just me being in New Game Plus. But yeah, I think this is going to be pretty interesting. This is going to be from worst to best if you guys didn't see the title of the video here. But yeah, I'm super excited to get into this. Hopefully this is all in one part. I know I've run into a problem in the past with SHAREfactory having kind of a different thing to like set how many like clips or edits that you can make in the video. It's kind of weird how many times you can like splice a thing. It's kind of whack, so hopefully I don't hit across that limit. I only hit across that limit once. Maybe it's gone by this time, but hopefully this can all be done in one video. But if not, hopefully it's only 2 parts. But I guess you guys will see if it's more than 1 part. I'll have a separate intro for that video, but let's just get right into this, I think. So I think there's 24 bosses, so it's going to be a little bit of a long one, but let's just go. Okay, so coming in as my least favorite boss of the game, we have Gyuki. He's ugly. I mean, look at him. He's an ugly boy. I'm gonna be honest with him. He's not very pretty to look at. He's kind of this weird spider cow thing. It's pretty ugly. And I don't know. There's just nothing really cool about this fight. He doesn't look cool. The fight's not fun and engaging. He's really big, and it's not very a fun kind of big fight. And he's really easy, I think. I don't know if I said that already, but he's just, there's nothing really here about him that is good. He does quite a bit of damage. I haven't personally got hit by his grab, so I don't know how much damage that does. I'd assume it does quite a bit. He doesn't do a ton, and he does a decent amount of damage, but not a ton. I'm a little over leveled here. This is one of the bosses that I kind of missed out on. Luckily, when I decided to start doing this stuff, I was not very over leveled. I was over leveled by like 10 levels, which isn't really a ton. So I went back and did this mission again real quick, but with the other bosses in this mission, because there's another boss in this mission. But he's just boring, nothing too crazy, boring, easy. What I did is I locked onto his like little weak spots on his legs that you can lock onto, and was just able to follow him around and just kind of attacked while running around him because he turns around so slowly, so I was just doing a lot of damage without him being able to punish. So it's a boring fight, nothing fun about it really, I would say, and it doesn't look cool. So I think easily, for me personally, the worst boss in the game. Okay, so coming in the number 23 spot, we have Dad Toshi. So I think I should probably say this now. I'm probably gonna mess up on a lot of the names in this game. But I don't know if I got that one right or not, but just a heads up, pronunciations be whack. But I don't know, this boss is just pretty standard. In this game, there's things that you can fight called revenants, which are just NPC fights that you can use to get other people's loot, like actual people in real life. They die, you can summon them. You can summon them with their loot, but it's an NPC. You fight them, and you have a chance to get some of the stuff from them. This is very much just like that, except he has his guardian spirit with him, which can be a little dangerous. He did take, I think, 2 or 3 lives from me. Because he does do quite a bit of damage, and he can cover quite a lot of the arena, which is pretty small, but I think it's a good small. But he's just pretty basic, and I would say that's kind of what lands him here. I think, for me personally, and it's not really a ton of fun in the fight. I think there's a couple of bosses that might be maybe slightly less fun, but I think just kind of everything else around this boss I think helps out a little bit. But he's just kind of there. I mean, he was there earlier in the game too, but nothing too crazy. It's not super hard. His guardian spirit has some pretty interesting attacks, and there's some pretty interesting attacks, like when he starts to spin his spear around. Oh my gosh. He starts to spin his spear around. You can't attack him, as it's kind of like a counter as well as the spin, which you see right there. But just nothing too crazy. I'm not a huge fan. I think this is probably one of the just kind of the weakest and kind of boring fights of the game, especially with the game that I think has a really, really high boss quality. But yeah, nothing too crazy. That's why he's at the number 23 spot. Okay, so coming in at number 22, we have Yatsu no Kami. This boss fight that you're seeing right now is actually from a later level in the game in a different mission. And this boss is the third boss in the game, and probably the hardest out of the first. I would say definitely the hardest out of the first 3. He's really tanky. And his arena, there's some things like throughout his level that if you don't get them, there'll be like a couple of little poison pools in the arena, so that you want to kind of keep that in mind and get those. The big thing with this boss is that his arms are other snakes as well. So you want to smack his arms, and if you destroy his and kill his arms, then they won't be active later on in the fight, because he summons the yokai realm. Which just kind of slows down your key recovery, which is like your posture bar kind of, and it slows that down. And when that happens, any snakes that you didn't kill out of his arms go out and are now other enemies as well. So that's just something that you want to keep in mind. That's what you want to target when fighting this boss. He just has a ton of health, and he can do quite a bit of damage, but really why I don't really care for him. It's just kind of a meh fight as well. I mean, he's a big snake with like a unicorn horn of knives, kind of, and that's pretty neat. He's got some grass on him, I guess, but other than that, I mean, it's just a big snake with some snake arms. Kind of interesting, but kind of not really. So nothing too crazy. I didn't really care for this fight all that much. You can kind of shoot his little glowy spot on his head, which is Amrita. You can shoot that and do a little bit extra damage, stun him a little bit, but nothing too crazy. Just kind of another kind of meh boss, I think. But yep, that's why he's number 22. Okay, for the number 21 spot, we have Psychomigoi. He was a boss in the first game, which is kind of ultimately why I put him this low. I liked him in the first game, and I thought he was a ton of fun. Here, I think he's pretty much fundamentally the same. I think there's not really anything about this fight that's different. I mean, there's a couple of little things with his spirit that he does a little bit differently, because in this game, they got rid of the air and earth kind of elements in this game, and it's just fire, water, and lightning. So they changed his into a fire spirit. So a little bit more of fire there. And his spirit has different attacks than it did in the first game. But other than that, a little bit, it's pretty much the same exact fight. And it's fairly simple, given that it's a human fight. He is a good human fight, though, and he was in the first game as well, having kind of a unique moveset, with him kind of being more gun-focused. And, I don't know, it makes for kind of a fun and a unique fight. But I don't know, there's not really too much that really sets it apart from it in the first game, which is kind of why, mostly why I put him down here, because I still like the fight, I think, personally, but I just wish that they did more with it. I think in terms of looking at it as a Nioh 2 fight, I think it probably would go up if I was looking at it more objectively as if I have only played Nioh 1, or Nioh 2, but I had played Nioh 1 as well, so kind of having that in my mind makes me not like this fight as much as I think I would if I came into Nioh 2 first. But then I wouldn't like some fights more. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. Nothing too different. Like I said, he has this kind of fireball attack that kind of homes in on you, but it's pretty slow. You might get hit by it every once in a while, but other than that, nothing too crazy. So he's gonna finish off the 20s for us almost. I don't know what Tokichiro's idea of a bride is, but this is not it, Chief. This is not it. But coming in at number 20, we have Lady Osaka Bay. She's a pretty alright boss, very similar to one of the final bosses from Nioh 1. I say one of the final bosses. I felt like Nioh 1 kind of had multiple final bosses. At least that's how I felt about the game. But yeah, really cool boss, I think, kind of. Idea-wise, I think it looks cool, kind of. It's weird and gross, but I let white and the red kind of go well together, which is, white and the red go kind of well together, and kind of the whole castle being the boss is kind of interesting, so that's really what netted it this spot at number 20 ahead of the previous 4 bosses. But I mean, she's not too difficult. She does alright damage, nothing too crazy. I kind of made the mistake of trying to shoot out her eyes in the first, like at the beginning of the fight, which is not how you want to approach this. You kind of just want to slap her tentacles that are closest to you, slap the heck out of them. They'll fall over limp, and then you can just smack the heck out of them even more, and until they go away, they die, and then rinse and repeat until her big tentacle comes down and you're able to just DPS the hell out of it, and try to do as much damage as possible against the big tentacle, and rinse and repeat until she's dead. Really, it took me 2 big tentacle DPS sessions to be able to kill her. But other than that, I mean, it's not really that hard. The burst counter is pretty tricky. I think when you first hop into the fight, it's really easy, but I think it just kind of caught me off guard that it came out as quick as it did. With her being so big, I thought it would take a little bit longer for that attack to come out. But other than that, I think she just kind of deals elemental damage like the fight in the first game. It's not with her, but it's very similar to her, with multiple kind of big targets like this to deal with. But she's pretty simple. Smack her, she'll drop down, smack her more, and then smack her more until she's dead. But nothing too crazy. Like I said, I kind of like the design and how the fight looks and feels, so that's why I put it over the previous 4 bosses. But other than that, yeet. Okay, kicking off the teens, we have Hachisuka Kuroku. I think so. So we have a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Aquaman dude here. He's got his Kusarigama. He's out here. He's trying to smack you around a little bit. He deleted our thought. Thank him so much, because we needed to get her out of here. But other than that, he's pretty easy. This boss, I would say, is probably the boss I know the least amount on this list, because I beat him first try and haven't fought him since. There's a side mission where I can have a rematch with him, but I haven't done that side mission yet. And then I haven't come back and fought this mission yet either. So I don't really know too much about him. He's got a lot of range because of his Kusarigama, but really he's a shiftling, which means he's half yokai, half human like us. But other than that, I mean, he has this cool move where he uses a previous boss from the game, which we haven't yet seen on this list. But he uses that boss for a quick second in his attack, which is pretty neat. But he's pretty easy, and there's not much. He's, I mean, it's kind of sad to see Aquaman go, because we kind of worked with him a little bit, but not too much, and definitely not as, I think, emotional as some of the other fights in this game. But yeah, other than that, I think he's just kind of an alright boss. I mean, he looks pretty neat, and I liked him when I first met him in the story, but other than that, it's just kind of a pretty easy fight, I would say, and I honestly still don't even really know. He has this kind of like grapple move, but I don't know. Okay, coming in at the number 18 spot, we have Daidara Bochi. Again, another pronunciation. This boss is also a boss that kind of is a building. I think this one just has like a building on top of it and is more along the lines of like trees in the earth and stuff. But this boss is another boss that's pretty similar to another boss in Nioh 1. And even to the point of being in the same region / chapter and the same mission in that region and chapter. So, a lot of similarities going on there. But this boss is pretty easy. I think this boss kind of took me a couple times by surprise. Because there's a couple of moves that you don't really understand what's going on, I think, where he kind of has this rubble kind of falling from the sky. Which is kind of hard to notice at first, especially, but I think you kind of get used to it, like an attempt or two in. Pretty much what you gotta do is you smack this guy's fingers, because they're all crusty. You gotta clean them off. He doesn't wash his hands. You need to wash his hands. He's got corona. So you stop him, you wash his hands and tell him, hey, get good. He's like, oh, you right, and he starts crying. So you go up and you stab his eye to make him stop crying, and his hands get all crusty again, so you gotta go do it again. He's very ungrateful, but you pretty much just hide behind his fingers, and he'll move away sometimes to kind of attack you, thinking that he's smart, but quite often he's not smart, so you can just kind of hide behind his finger and let his big eye beam just kind of hit his fingers instead of you. Unfortunately, his eye beams don't do damage to his fingers. That would be sad if they did. But they don't. They do damage to you, but not him. But other than that, I mean, just smack his fingers, and then he'll get stunned. You run up his arm, stab his eye. And, yeah, just rinse and repeat again. Kind of another big gimmicky boss. I'd say it's a pretty fun gimmick boss, I would say. I don't know if I'd say it's better than the one from the first game. The one in the first game I think is pretty well designed, but this one's pretty alright as well. Nothing too much can kill you if you're being reckless, but other than that, pretty simple boss fight. Kind of more gimmick on the gimmicky side of things, but other than that, nothing really too much to say about it. But I guess that's why it's at the number 18 spot, isn't it? Okay, so coming in at number 17, we have Tarim. The reason I'm kind of talking right now is because this was a New Game Plus, and I actually like this boss quite a bit, I'm going to be honest. I kind of slaughtered him in New Game Plus, so instead, I'll talk a little bit afterwards, but I'm just going to show you guys the gameplay real quick. So, see you guys in a second.
Time to kill bird. Oh my god! Okay, that is not. Oh my gosh.
Too hard to kill the bird.
That is not very descriptive of what it's like in base game. Oh my. I'm gonna have to flip on this guy. But yeah, as you can see, I kind of destroyed this guy. I actually really like this boss fight. There's some interesting moves that he has during the fight. I think probably my favorite one is the one where he kind of turns his head around 180 degrees. I think that's a pretty cool thing, especially, obviously he's an owl. But I found that pretty cool. But obviously, he's kind of a pushover in New Game Plus, but he can be pretty hard. And there's actually a lot of people that consider him to be a really hard boss. Personally, I didn't feel like that, given I only died to him once, but when he gets into his yokai realm, or his dark realm phase, it can get pretty challenging. Just because he can kind of stun lock you a little bit. But, I mean, other than that, I mean, it's just, I like the boss fight. And, like I said, it can be pretty challenging, but we didn't even get to see it in that clip right there. The Dark Realm part of it. And the Dark Realm part's one of the coolest parts of it. Like, the whole screen goes black, almost all black, and pretty much all you can see is that there's this orb somewhere in the arena, and you can see his 3 eyes glowing in the darkness, and that's pretty much it. And it's pretty atmospheric. I actually kind of like it. And you kind of have to take out the orb, and then it kind of stuns him. You can get in there and do kind of a finishing blow on him. But yeah, I mean, obviously we kind of slaughtered him right there. So, unfortunately, that's not really a testament to what the boss is actually like, but oh well.